While engineering Lucas Soirowski eventually saw the planet's greatest breeze turbine blades established on a prototyping rig in 2016, he stood in front line of it and took a selfie. Apparently. It was wonderful, he says, recall the time in a laughter. This sense of joy, affirmative, it plant, he's installed. Such blades, done by Dutch company LM Breezeforce, were a recording-breaking, 290 FOOT, length, greater rather than the wingspan of an Bus ONE 380, or almost the long of 2 Olympic-sized bathing pools. The swept region of such a giant rotary razor would lid Rome's Colosseum. But things go rapidly in the breeze turbine production. In fair a few years, such blades could be outnumbered by the businesses following draft, 107-meter long blades. LM Breezeforce is belonging by World Mechanical Engineering Company General Electrical, GE, that announced in March how it hopes to evolve a gigantic 12-megawatt, MW, breeze turbine by the year 2020. A solitary turbine the amount, permanent 260 meter high, could make quite power to force 16,000 households. The planet's present greatest breeze turbine is a tertiary less than strong rather than how, generative 8 megawatt. Different companies, consisting Siemens, are work on gas turbines about the 10 megawatt mark. While it comes to breeze gas turbines, it seems, amount matters. The since greater gas turbines seize more than breeze power and do so at more altitudes, wherever breeze manufacture is more than consecutive. But design and manufacture blades of the amount is a considerable deed of mechanical engineering. Mr. Soirowski says how the company could in theoretical use metal, but the blades would be very costly and hard. Instead of, they use a mix of carbon sequestration and window fiber. At first, they do a window fiber and polyether membrane for every razor, in 2 halves. Later the feldspar cap is added. How's along of strengthening content how rest downward the within of every of these halves. For the, Mr. Soirowski's crew uses a window carbon composite cloth, infused in a specific tar how hardens in location. The planet's largest breeze gas turbines are usually established offshore quite rather than on Earth. How path, they escape creature giant eyesores in our midst and are capable to gear the strong winds out at ocean. The capacity of offshore breeze has induced several to paint up plans for next wind farms on an huge scope, in water lot miles of Earth. U.S. researchers newly showed how an enormous sum of unused power could be harnessed by house a gigantic wind farm in the polar Atlantic. Individually, Holland company Tennet has advanced a conception for a really big wind farm how could be constructed at Dogger Banking, an region of superficial water supply in the polar ocean. In full, it could include a power of several 30 gigawatts, the business says. To put how in background, the ordinary everyday power consumer demand for the entire of the UK is 36 gigawatt. Henrik Stijstel, a ex-head engineering at Siemens Breezeforce department who now plant at Dutch Engineering College, says down there are multiple advantages to how supersized offshore agriculture love the, though beauty benefits. If thou re more than rather than 40 kilometer, 25 miles, of, the curve of the land tool the gas turbines will be under the skyline, he says. Mr. Stijstel says different organizations, consisting his own establishment and the College of Oxford, are work on ways to do offshore breeze turbine foundations more profitable. One concept is to evolve float platforms how would be more profitable to production in big quantities in factories. But if the price of foundations does go downward, it could later be price effective to set greater numbers of less gas turbines quite rather than less big ones. This pursuit of the big machines will go on just as length as the infrastructure facilities expenses are top, he explains. For the cause, breeze gas turbines are hardly to surpass the 12 megawatt model, he believes. One underside of house offshore wind farms in lot less gas turbines, although, is how down there are lot more than person bits of machinery needy to be served and kept out at ocean, wherever the facility can frequently be unwelcoming, to say the low. For the more than instant next, wait to see offshore breeze agriculture go on to increase, particularly in Europe, says Joel Megalars at Production Associate Breeze Europe. GE is certainly the largest add how we've seen so distant, he says, relating to the planned 12 megawatt turbine. Breeze given more than rather than 11% of Europe's power in the at first part of 2017, Breeze Europe says. And Mr. Megalars expects how percent to increase, as more than wind farms are established. In 2019, we wait to see else recording of offshore breeze creature established, about 4 GW, once again, largest of how is in the UK and Germany. The major obstacle for capacity projects such as Dogger banking, he adds, is governments possessing to company operate in one else. It may be many decades up a wind farm love how gets departure. In the meanwhile, one original gain of more big gas turbines is the declining price of breeze force, says Mr. Megalars. He's completely large news story how these greater gas turbines are on the skyline, he explains. It will do renewable energy though more profitable.